It is Friday. The weekend is almost here. So it is the perfect time to come up for our virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer. We made it through another week, the second week of training camp. The team has been in the bubble for a little bit, but they did ramp things up by putting on helmets, and next week they will be putting on pads. Look, I do not go through happy hour alone. Nobody should. So I'm going to be bringing in my friend and the Washington football team insider, Kyle Stackpole, for this show. Kyle, it is time to start a tab, and today, well, we're talking about things getting ramped up a little bit, and as well, we want to give everybody an update on the journey. They're doing some, grass work behind me here. This is the thing about being out on the field. So on WashingtonJourney.com, we are asking everybody to follow along in the journey, see how we are going through this transition, and we also want to see the ideas. Alan out of Compton says that we should call ourselves the Washington Republic. The team name of our capital city reflecting the ideology of the United States government. Could develop logo incorporating the Romanesque or Greek architectural motifs to reflect the DC architectural aesthetic. Your thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, well, first of all, Alan, if you ever want to write for us, please send in your application because that was beautifully written. But I think it's really been growing on me. I think the explanation is great. It's clean, and it really just represents what our country and what DC is. So it's also a name that I never thought about before. So we had Republic today. I think it was the Rexes on Wednesday. So these are a lot of really good ideas that I haven't heard of, that I know a lot of other people haven't heard of. So keep submitting, and whatever idea you have, we're going to be listening.
You know, our genius producer, Asa, said that, you know what, could be the mascot for this, like an Adrian Peterson, since he's built like a Greek god and continues to just keep playing on and on and on. Why not? Look, we are having fun reading your input and highlighting them. So, yes, keep bringing them along, and also tweet us throughout the show because we like showing your tweets. And we play a lot of fun games. We're going to play this or that coming up. So you're going to want to join along with us of who's going to get more sacks, interceptions, touchdowns, and all that fun stuff. But look, if we're going to talk about some of the players that we're expecting a lot out of coming into this season, that would be one Montez Sweat. He had 5.5 sacks last season in the last 8 games. Took a little bit to get going, but once he did, you didn't stop him. So how can he continue that this year? Well, Montez answered.
Any season, through every other game, you just you look at the tape from last week and you just think about how you can get better week in and week out. So I tried to do that last year throughout the whole season, and I just hope to do that again this year. Just get better week in and week out. You can never really stay the same.
An aspect of your game that became stronger over those last couple of weeks, like whether you were using your length better or anything like that?
I developed more of a rush plan going into the games than I had more earlier in the year, where I was just kind of just coming in, just trying to win. And I think moving more out during the season, I was coming in with a rush plan and just seeing what that guy likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. And also, we kind of, some of those guys we played at the first half of the season, we playing them again. So I kind of knew some of their tendencies and stuff like that.
That is what you want to see. Look, the team traded back into the first round to pick him up, and it took a little bit to get going. But once he learned how to use his body, his athletic ability, and be aggressive and get some, mud on his jersey, I think you saw those sacks come. In this scheme, Kyle, I would imagine he has the opportunity to maybe even get more.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I just think that him talking about how he progressed throughout the year shows how much he matured and how much he understands about the game now. When he was coming in, he thought he could just win with power, win with speed, win with his athleticism. But he learned that he needed to refine his technique. He needed to study his opponents. And I think with the addition of Chase Young and with Jack Del Rio and Sam Mills coming in, he's going to have so many opportunities to be put in one-on-one situations, to rush the quarterback. And I really think he's going to have a big year.
And can we talk about he beefed up a little bit too?
Yeah, he did. So last year he came in, he was around 260. And then by the end of the year, he was under 250. So he's really made it a priority this year to get that weight back up. He's back to around 265 pounds. And he wants to keep that weight on so that he's a force to be reckoned with. He still has that same power that he had coming into the NFL.
All right, well, we go from one second-year player to another, more out of Montez Sweat and even more out of Terry McLaurin. You talk a lot about him. You talk about leadership from him, and he was, we talk about leadership with him. He's easy to follow in that locker room.
Yeah, for sure. And he was really talking about yesterday about how Coach Rivera had his first in-person full team meeting on Thursday morning. And Coach Rivera really wanted to set the tone for the year. And based on what the players said, Terry, Montez, it really seems like Coach delivered in trying to do that.
Let's actually hear what Terry had to say about his coach addressing the team for the first time in person.
He hit us with a pretty big message this morning, not to get all the way into it, but just the way we come out to the field each and every day is something that we can control. Our attitude, our preparation, and our effort are the three things that we can control on a day in, day out basis. And we're going to be a physical football team that is going to attack people on both sides of the ball. And it starts up front with our offensive and defensive line. So that's what you want to hear out of a coach. That's kind of what I've been accustomed to in my background playing football, of just that attack style of play. And I think it's going to suit us well as long as everybody continues to do what we're doing so far, allowing ourselves to be coached and to continue to working to get better. I feel like we can make the strides necessary to be ready for week one.
You know, I have to tell you, Kyle, I get the exact same impression. Look, Coach is very personable. When you talk with him, you know he's talking straight to you. He's listening. He's paying attention. He cares. He's engaged. But boy, you also know that he means business.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing is that it's insane that it's taken more than 7 months for him to have a full team meeting, for him to really lay out his plans for this organization in person. But with COVID, everything got messed up. Virtual offseason, training camps have gotten revamped, no preseason. But Rivera wanted the team to know in the first full team meeting that the principles of a sustainable winning culture are the same. And no matter if they got to talk a few months ago or a month before the season, that's what they have to do to be successful.
All right, his message is clear to all of the players, what he expects of them, and that is what he's going to hold them accountable and get the best out of them. We have opened and started a tab. We're going to see what is on tap when we come back here. Kyle will be joining me as well. We're going to play a this or that. Who's going to get the most sacks, this guy or that guy? Who's going to have the most touchdowns, the most receiving yards? We want you to play along with us as well. So tweet in your responses and see how they compare to what we have to say.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball. We don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's a root for the home team.
Oh, way, we don't really care.
Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
This is the front door.
Here's the living room.
The hallway that takes us to
The kitchen.
The bedroom.
oh, and of course, where we spend most of our time.
The backyard.
We are back on our virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Kyle is with me. Kyle, if we're talking about the defensive line on this team, it's the strength of the team. There's a lot of hype on it. There's a lot of talent on it. We also said that last season, and while they definitely underperformed all across the board, but you bring in Chase Young, and so you take him on this defensive line, and now it is projected to be the third best defensive line heading into 2020. But how does it compare, would you say, to some of the best defensive lines over history?
Yeah, so I'm going to go more recent history. So you have last year's San Francisco 49ers that their defensive line got them to the Super Bowl. You have the New York Giants in 2011 when they won the Super Bowl. And then you have other defensive lines throughout the years. You have other San Francisco lines. You have the Chicago Bears. You have Tampa Bay with Warren Sapp. But the main difference between all of those and Washington's defensive line is they haven't done it yet. And like you talked about, the potential is there. 5 first-round picks, Matt Ioannidis, but Jack Del Rio's tired of talking about that. John Allen's tired about talking about that. They want to go out and do it, and they really can't wait. They just want to get that burden off their shoulder, I guess, and be successful and show what they can produce and what they can execute.
All right, look, yeah, they have to do it. You start talking Super Bowls and you're going to get the fans all riled up, but, exercise some caution. Yes, reason to be excited. We'll see. I mean, it does start with the guys up front. You need them on the other side of the ball as well. All right, so we are starting a tab here, and we're going to play a little game of this or that. We are going to throw something out there that we think is going to happen, and we're going to say who's going to get it. So we're going to start, Kyle, with this one. Who's going to have more tackles? Is it going to be Landon Collins or Cole Holcomb for you?
So these are the top 2 tacklers from last year. Landon was first. Cole was tied for second. I think it's going to be Cole Holcomb, and I think that's a good thing for the Washington defense, because if Cole has more tackles, that means that running backs and pass catchers aren't getting to that second and third level where Landon Collins has to take them down. So give me Cole Holcomb in this improved defense.
I wonder if Landon, how he would feel about that, though. He might totally agree with you on it, but he also might want to be able to have the extra tackles. So we might have to ask him that. Look, Cole Holcomb had over 100 tackles last season as a rookie, and he had a hard time adjusting to the defense as well. And when I was chatting with him, he was saying, look, yeah, I left a lot of plays out on the field that hopefully will not happen this season as he works on his technique and they put him in coverage, can go out there and use his athletic ability to be able to stop guys. If we're going to go on to more sacks on the interior, and we talk a lot about the edge guys, more sacks on the interior, Daron Payne or Matt Ioannidis?
Yeah, so Daron Payne only had 2 sacks last year, and I fully expect that number to go up, but I don't think it's going to be more than Matt Ioannidis. He led the team with 8.5 sacks last year. He's one of the better interior defensive linemen in the NFL right now. And while the outside guys are getting a lot of the hype and a lot of the publicity, Matt Ioannidis has been really solid, especially last year. So give me Matt to rack up another 8.5, 9 sacks this year.
I know they were expecting Payne to be able to have more pass rush ability last season. He went from 5 sacks to 2 sacks. So I think that number will increase this year. But yeah, if we're going with who's going to have more, it's got to be Ioannidis. He just seems to double his numbers every year. I don't know that means he gets to 16 or 19 this season, but I would guarantee he's probably going to get to where he was last year at 8.5. How about more receiving yards if we go to offense? Antonio Gibson or J.D. McKissic?
Yeah, so I actually put these questions out on Twitter, and it seemed like a lot of fans were going with Antonio Gibson, but I'm going to go with J.D. McKissic. So in the 2 years that he's been healthy, he's averaged 34 receptions for about 250 yards. He's been a pass-catching back in the NFL before. He's done it in multiple offenses. So I think they're really going to find a way to use him starting from game 1, and he's really going to be that consistent third down back throughout the season. But I know Antonio Gibson's also exciting too.
Yeah, I would go Gibson on this one. I think they're going to rely on him, and they are just excited the fact that he also played receiver and putting him in on a lot of those packages. How about more pass deflections, Darby or Fuller?
Yeah, so a lot of people on Twitter went with Fuller, and for good reason. He's been great. He was great here. He was great in Kansas City, and now bringing him back. But I think that teams are going to try to challenge Ronald Darby, and I think he's going to be up for the challenge. I think he's going to get more targets than Kendall Fuller, and I think he's going to prove to Washington, prove to the rest of the NFC East that he can regain that form that he had in 2015 when he was the PFF Defensive Rookie of the Year. So I'm going to go with Ronald Darby.
Yeah, he's dealt with a lot of injuries that I think have hampered him a little bit. If he can stay healthy, he has the chance to be pretty good, but I would go Kendall Fuller for this one. He's coming back. He played on a Super Bowl team. He had those picks. I think he's ready and motivated here at home to be able to be effective in this scheme. How about if we go down to better third down efficiency? Is it going to be Scott Turner on offense, or is it going to be Jack Del Rio on defense?
So third down efficiency it really hurt Washington down last year, both offensively and defensively. They finished near the end, the bottom of the NFL. But I think both will improve, but I really think the defense is going to make a huge jump because once teams get in third and long, they're going to bring the blitz. And with that pass rush, they're going to get to the quarterback. So they're either going to sack him or make him throw it early, which is going to help out the linebackers and the secondary. So I think it's going to be the defense, and I think they're really going to make a big jump in third down efficiency this year.
You're actually really nice by saying it hurt them last year. You did. Look, since you went defense, I'm just going to go offense just because we need both to get better. And hopefully this team is better on first and second, and they get that run game going, and they get players in there to where they're not in third and long and scrambling and then losing yards. So there we go. We balanced it out on that one. Okay, so that is what is on tap, folks. When we come back, we are going to be cheersing. And today we are cheersing to Antonio Gandy Golden. AGG joins me. How is he finding the adjustment from college to the pros?
The natural light is amazing.
Hardwood floors.
There is a bit of a clogging problem.
At least Geico makes it easy to bundle our renters and car insurance.
Yeah, helping us save even more.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball, we don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's root for the home team.
Oh, way, we don't really care.
Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
It is time for cheers to that. It was a most unprecedented draft this season. As well, everybody was having to stay home during Corona, during the pandemic, but the draft did go on as planned. And because of that, well, you got to be able to see how it was carried out. Antonio Gandy Golden was picked up by the Washington football team, and well, he's a couple weeks in with his new teammates. And here we are cheersing to Antonio Gandy Golden. Golden, but as we're talking, you just go by AGG. That's okay by you?
Right. Perfect.
Perfect. All right, AGG. Kind of going through this whole off season, really, we could just call it the Corona pandemic. It's been really wild, and we're all having to adjust differently. But you actually came out in March and tested positive for it. Can you just tell us a little bit what that was like?
For me, it was kind of weird because I didn't necessarily know that I had it. You know, as with a lot of people. I kind of had, a few things going on the week before when I was in Florida, but I figured it was just allergies and things like that because it wasn't anything major. So then when they closed down Florida that next week and I ended up having to go back to Lynchburg to use my school's facilities, I had to test to make sure I didn't have it so I didn't bring it in. And I tested, and 5 days later they came out and told me that I had it. So I was kind of surprised because I figured I was good. I was perfectly fine. I was going to be able to work out, that next Tuesday.
Well, we're glad you're good. You take a look at all the protocols that are in place now. I mean, kind of what is it like? I mean, you're new to the NFL, but now you have all these restrictions and, having to wear the masks and going through areas where you can and can't be and split up. I mean, just what is that kind of like for a player trying to get to the game with all that?
I feel like right now, it's perfectly fine, especially since it's very necessary, especially if we want to play. So I definitely don't mind it. I know this is not normal, and the guys around here told me this is definitely not a normal circumstance, but it's just something you have to get used to if you want to be able to play. So that's what we're doing.
It's the first time you finally get to be around your teammates, so you didn't have the rookie minicamp or the OTAs and stuff to kind of get to know them. But we did see you kind of working out with Anquan Bolden. Were there other guys that you kind of leaned on and kind of tried to, get some time in with?
I worked out with Anquan in Florida, of course, and he was great. And I also worked out with Chris Carter pretty much every day. They were always in the gym helping us out. So between those two guys, those are the guys I really, leaned on this off season to really try to get some good technique, just really learn football more. Yeah.
So what would you say is the biggest takeaway from that?
They just honestly just brought a lot of knowledge that I didn't necessarily have, in college, just from those guys playing in the league so long and doing the things that they did. They could offer me a lot of cool tips and tricks, just as far as separation and just getting off the ball that, I definitely didn't have before.
Well, you were at college. You had 3 straight years of 1,000 yards, 3 straight years of 10 touchdowns. What are the realistic expectations for you now as you go to the pros?
Honestly, right now, I just want to come in and just produce as much as possible. I can't really put a number or a name to exactly what I'm going to do this year, but I know for sure that I want to come in and make an impact wherever it may be, and I'll help the team win as many games as possible.
Has coach told you where you're going to line up or where and how they plan to use you?
Not necessarily. We're all kind of mixing in right now, so we'll see how it goes. It's very early in camp, so I feel like once we get the pads on and things like that, they'll be able to figure those things out.
Coach was also telling us that you play faster than the 40 time. For those of us that look at the numbers and those measurables from the combine and we get all caught up in the sexiness of them, kind of help us understand what that means when he says that.
I feel like, the 40 times just that, super straight line speed, and you're not really making a move or anything like that. I feel like in the football field, it's a lot different. You're constantly making cuts and exploding in different directions. And I feel like, on the field, I definitely showed that I can do that more than I did in the 40.
This team has needed some help in the red zone. You're tall, big, physical, aggressive. But I even heard that when you're at Liberty, there are times if you didn't think you'd catch the ball, that maybe you'd play the role of the DB and at least try to break it up. Did you ever play that side of the ball, or where does that kind of mentality come from?
The mentality comes to where if the ball's in the air, I just think it's mine, and if I don't feel like I can get it, then nobody else can either. So if I can't get the ball and there's a DB, possibly about to, try to intercept the ball, it's my job to, get it away from him so we can play the next play.
Yeah, they'll take that if you can't bring it down. We know you like to do that as well. Look, Terry McLaurin comes in last season and just really wowed everybody in his rookie season. There's a lot of talk on who's going to be the guy opposite of him. But what are your conversations like with Terry?
He's honestly a lot of help. He's been helping me out a lot since I've gotten here, me and the other rookies as well. And I definitely feel like, he's definitely a leader on the field, does what he's supposed to do. And he's just a great guy to, be able to look at, technique-wise and everything, just to make sure you're doing things right.
What would you say, I mean, you said you've talked to some of the guys, is the biggest difference so far that you've come across from your days in college to now just 2 weeks into a pro? And again, you don't have the pads on yet, but I'm sure there's some differences.
I'd say, I wouldn't say there's too many differences as far as, the people that I've seen and talked to. I would say the biggest surprise is that it is a little bit, more family oriented and type, other than what I've heard, the league was going to be like, prior. I heard it wasn't going to be, as close knit, as it is in college. But as far as I'm concerned right now, how I felt is, very, very family-like.
They call you kind of like the most interesting man alive. I know we talk a lot about the Rubik's Cube, the gymnastics, the painting, you were picking up golf. Do you challenge guys in any of that? Has anybody said, I can take you on in the Rubik's Cube or do backflips with you? Or, is that anything at all when you're with the teammates?
Oh, yeah, occasionally, occasionally the guys kind of, come and challenge me. I got a very close guy on the team already, Isaiah. We actually trained down together in Florida. So we always just joke around and do stuff like that.
Who's that?
Isaiah, right?
Oh, okay, cool. Yep. Did you pick up any extra unique traits during quarantine when you had all this extra time?
I did not at all. Actually, well, I kind of did. I did a little bit more juggling. I started trying to go behind my back. So.
Oh, that's cool. We're going to have to see that one day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, cheers to that, AGG. Kyle?
Yeah, so, I think the biggest thing from his interview was he just seems so mature and he seems ready to contribute right away. He's not just coming in as a rookie thinking how he's going to find his way and maybe become a contributor later in the season. He's ready to go now. He's been working out with Anquan Bolden, Chris Carter, as he said, and he wants to produce as much as possible. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities for AGG to produce within this offense.
He said Cam Sims is somebody that he's kind of leaned upon and has kind of really helped him kind of adjust and learn how to model his game after and what he needs to do to be effective. But he's having an impact on a lot of the wide receivers in the room, even Terry McLaurin. Terry was talking about what his first impressions are of AGG.
Athletically gifted. He jumps pretty much out the gym, I would say. His ability to move at that size is really, really impressive. I think he plays faster than he may look on a time watch. So the best advice I try to give to him is, first of all, know what you're doing, because then you can't play fast if you don't know what you're doing. I know it's a lot. Ask questions if you don't know, and then just come in here and be ready to compete for a spot. I mean, while you're a rookie, that doesn't mean you have to watch on the sidelines all year, whether it's special teams or being a prominent role in our offense. You have the opportunity to do that, and you dictate that at this level. It's the way you prepare, you perform out there on the field, and you gain that trust from your coaches and your teammates. And he's kind of a quiet kid, but he tries to do everything right, so that's all you can ask. And I think he's going to do pretty well here.
Kyle, when I was also talking with him after he was drafted, he said because he comes from a smaller school, Liberty, he feels like, people haven't necessarily seen his game, and that's something he's going to have to prove and earn in order to have a spot on the roster.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
and I think,
not a spot, sorry, to have significant playing time on the roster.
Exactly. Because he's pretty much a lock to make this roster with the skill set that he has, what he provides. He's a big physical wide receiver. Washington really needs that. He was highly productive at Liberty, like we talked about. He ranked 4th in the NCAA last year, almost 1,400 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns. So he's a red zone threat. Mm-hmm. He's productive. He catches the ball when it's thrown to him. He scores touchdowns. The other thing that people might not be talking about is how big receivers have fared under Ron Rivera. You have Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess, Ted Ginn, even DJ Moore. I mean, I know he's only 6 foot, 210 pounds, but still a bigger receiver. So big receivers have fared well. AGG could be the latest one. In fact, really the only smaller receiver that has flourished and really made a name for himself under Ron Rivera is Steve Smith. And interestingly enough, Steven Sims' agent told Steven Sims that, and Steven Sims was like, well, you know what? I'm going to be the next Steve Smith. I'm going to be the next small receiver to flourish under Rivera. So these new guys have a lot of potential, and we've got to see what they can do.
Yeah, I know they definitely want to use him in the red zone. They struggled there last season, so hopefully he can jump up, get those balls. And they'd wanted him to compete with Kelvin Harmon for the spot, but unfortunately with Harmon not here, the door is wide open for AGG to take it and run away with it. There you go, folks. Cheers to that. Cheers to AGG. When we come back, it is time to close out. We're going to tell you what you can expect next week as we look forward to training camp.
Is the front door.
Here's the living room.
The hallway that takes us to
The kitchen.
The bedroom.
Oh, and of course, where we spend most of our time.
The backyard.
The new house is amazing, so much character.
Original crown molding, walk-in closets.
We do have a rat problem. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
It does help us save.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball. We don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's root for the home team.
Oh, way, we don't really care. Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
As we close out, it is time for Kyle's hot take. Kyle, tell me what you are brewing up today.
Yeah, so actually the linebackers spoke today. You had Reuben Foster and Thomas Davis Sr. And I know there's still a month left until the season starts, but I think I'm ready to give my starting linebacker predictions. I'm going to say Reuben Foster at weak side, John Bostic at middle, and Thomas Davis on the strong side. Now, I get it. If people don't want to come along with me, that's fine. I'm going to, Ron Rivera likes to say this, if I do this on my own and people don't believe me and I'm right, it's on them. But if I do this and I'm wrong, I'll take full responsibility. So a month before the season, those are my linebackers. What do you think?
Fair enough. Look, I think we are far away from being able to see what it's actually going to look like. But I think right now what they are doing is John Bostic, Kevin Pierre-Louis, which is somebody they're paying attention to, and then Thomas Davis Sr. also rotating with Cole Holcomb. But that's how things currently stand. They're moving them around a lot. We're going to see when we do get to the season who actually locks down those starting positions. All right, Kyle, thanks for joining me today for our virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer. We hope everybody has a safe weekend, a fun weekend, and we will see you back here on Monday.